Welcome back to the Webleedpixels Podcast. I'm your co-host V.
And I'm your host T. It's been 3 weeks since we last said hello.
It has, but welcome to our Halloween episode.
Ooh. Spooks.
It's a very special episode because
we have an amazing guest called Mr. Crunchy Streams.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are we?
I'm alright. How are you doing?
Doing alright.
I don't know whether you can tell. I'm slightly nervous. I'm not used to this being interview stuff.
Ooh, no, you'll be fine.
Oh, I'll wing it. But thank you very much for inviting me. I do appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for accepting and saying yes, I will come on.
You know I'll say anything for you, T.
Ooh. At first, introduce yourself. Tell the audience and everyone who you are and what you do.
My name is Crunchy. I do streams, hence the reason Crunchy streams. I'm a variety streamer and a professional idiot. I do have the documentation to prove it. I stream normally on the weekends, Thursdays through to Sundays, doing a lot of random stuff. Fridays normally D&D, Saturdays shooty games or community games, and then longer form story games on Thursdays and Sundays. So the most important thing you need to know about my channel is you can just come in, relax, and just say hello if you need to.
It is a really nice welcoming channel. It's nice and relaxing. I love to just chill. I like I'm not so big on D&D because I don't understand D&D.
Which is fine, but it's one of those things where you can take it or leave it. But I think one of the good things about watching a D&D stream is you might not know the mechanics so much, but you can enjoy the story being told.
Definitely. I know that you played a game a couple of weeks ago with some American people and you was an absolute devil on it.
Oh, I could be a very devil. Oh, that would have been Murder in the Clock Tower or something like that. Death on the Clock Tower, which is a basically it's a board game stroke bluffing game where you've got to try and be the last person standing if you're either a survivor or the murderer.
You're
So
really
the murderer
good
has
at
to try
that.
and I can look. I can BS with the best of people.
Yeah, you were scarily good at that. Just listening to you like talk them all round to then vote in someone else.
See, the good thing is, a lot of times I can just let people talk and carry on, and then just pop in when I need to for the right thing to say.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
sneaky like that.
It's very sneaky Crunchy.
I'm a nice Crunchy in real life.
Apart from all four guys.
This is coming from Mr. Grabby.
We are
grabs and pushes.
Oh, I don't grab that much. Only a little bit of grabbing.
You play. You're a variety streamer, but the other day in stream, you did say you play. Was it random games or like weird games, like things that people haven't really seen or heard of?
Yeah, I like to play more lesser known games. So one of the games I've played recently is like the Hex, where it's basically you're trying to work out what the story is along these 6 mini stories, to work out what the whole meta story is and stuff like that. I've just started a game called Metal, which is a parody of more Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. I've played Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is one of the more known games, but a completely different style of game to the original Yakuza series. So I like to play things that not a lot of people are playing because it just fascinates me to play something like that is attention grabbing rather than viewer grabbing, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that completely makes sense. So would you say that you're more indie than AAA title?
I'm a special person. But yeah, it's not that I won't play AAA titles. It's just that sometimes it's the more independent games that tend to grab my attention and I tend to enjoy more.
Yeah, which is completely fair. I mean, sometimes some indie games and like independent games are a lot more better than, say, AAA titles. I can't count how many AAA titles I've played which has just glitched out or bugged out on me. I've just like been sat there like, okay, I'll play this in 6 months' time then.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, sometimes that just takes you out the whole experience.
Definitely. And you just, I don't know, like, because obviously like with streaming, you need to make sure that like it's not as if you're just playing the game. You have to be entertaining with the game. You have to like semi-know the game to complete the game, and also like keep up with chat and everything else. So it's not as if you're just doing one job. Like, you know, if you're just sat chilling out playing the game offline, it's a lot easier, and you don't get as like downhearted with it not working because you can just switch over to something else. But if you set and plan a stream around this game and the game doesn't work, you're kind of like, ooh, what do I do?
Yeah, you kind of fall into that limbo where you kind of have to like entertain and try and work things out at the same time. And if you're not having a lot of engagement, either through the chat or through the game, then you kind of start to try and keep the momentum flowing in the streams, if that makes, you know. So what I try to do as best as I can is make sure the games work offline before I start. But if I can't do that, hope it works, and if it doesn't, just say, well, that's done, let's try something else. Because there's no point in forcing an issue if it's not working for you.
No. Playing Iron Fish, all right. The last mission got to me. That really tilted me because my game glitched out where the boxes of water going up the conveyor belts, where they was going through the conveyor belts, and it was all like piling up into one big pile. That frustrated me, but I done it by semi-cheating and skipping half the level.
Yeah, so to put this into context, this is my fault, and I will take the blame for this. You've started playing a game called Iron Fish, which is something I've played. There's a few levels where you play as a flying fish, and you can glide between different parts of water. On the third level, I want to say you've actually got to go between suitcase and suitcase to try and get through the entire level itself. And because they're all on moving conveyor belts, timing is an absolute son of a gun. And I found myself getting frustrated on that level myself. So, yeah, I can appreciate what your mental capacity was for that level.
It took an hour to do that level.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, because half the time when I landed on the actual suitcase itself, the fish flopped on top of the suitcase and fell off the suitcase.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
When there was an open suitcase that you were trying to fly to, it's like you wouldn't even make it there, or you'd like miss, or like the fish would just like flop or something. It's like, well, that was the one chance, and like fish just didn't even do what fish needed to do.
Oh, that game. I swear I've got like 70,000 grey hairs now because of it.
Be grateful you have hair.
Where did your name come from? Crunchy Streams.
So, Crunchy is actually a nickname my mum gave my granddad gave to me when I was a toddler. So, and we've really revealed this on stream. So in the 80s, there was an old cereal advert. The cereal's called Weetabix, and they used to have different characters doing different things. Now, in the UK, it was rugby union, but in the US, it was American football. There was a character called Crunch, and he would just run through everything, demolishing everything, and just leaving everything to waste. My granddad turned to my mum when I was a toddler and said, "That's your boy, that is." Stuck with the family ever since. They all call me Crunchy, and I just thought, well, let's go with it. So yeah, it's a family moniker.
That's cool though, like to have like that much in depth with your name.
I like to do things that have meaning. Let's put it like that.
Instead of just like random names, because I know that there's other people like who you ask, oh, like your name's really cool. Where did it come from? And they just say, I like the name. Oh, okay.
No, Tea and Toasty.
No, my name has hidden depth. I like tea and I like toasties.
Put them together, you got a party.
Exactly, or lunch. Lunch and a party.
Yeah, but no, Crunchy has a significant meaning to me because I was closer to my granddad than a lot of my family at the time. So when my granddad passed when I was 13, it did have an effect on me, but it's part of the reason why I've got Crunch tattooed on my back as well. That was my first tattoo, and I thought I had to have something meaningful, and it was partly because of my granddad.
That's really nice and sweet, because now your granddad lives on through your streams and through you.
Yeah,
with like Crunchy.
Yeah, just as a kind of way to try and make him and the rest of the family proud.
Well, I think you 100% are doing that.
God bless you, smooth talker.
No, just truth talker.
Well, it is what it is.
So why did you start streaming?
So I've done bits and bobs here and there, but the main reason why I've actually given it a proper go now since I've got this new PC is basically because I like to entertain. I've got backgrounds in radio, DJing, like presenting stuff like that. I just love to like be that something that people can just unwind to, if that you know. I just enjoy having that banter with people, just being that entertaining person, just making people laugh if I can help it.
That is definitely what you do.
It's a release for me, especially with the job that I do. And I'm not going to talk about the job that I do, but because of the job that I do, it's so emotionally intense. I like doing the streaming because it's a release for me. It gets that stuff that I can't do at work. I can just release it and know that people enjoy my madness.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Like, so it's like, because you have like the tough working lifestyle, it's nice to then have something like really nice and happy, which you can go to.
Yeah, exactly. And people come to say hello, and I like saying hello back.
I think it goes the other way as well too. Like your job, it takes a toll on you, so you stream to release, but people also come to your stream for the same reason. Like they work, whatever, have a tough day, and they come to your streams to also release and relax.
That's what I like to hope that they do. I like, because I always intro it with I can't even remember it. I even get my intro wrong every time. It's like I hope I can entertain you for the next few hours, give you a place where you can be your awesome selves and just take your mind off things. So, you know, I that's how I start my streams, and that's how I want to make sure that that's what the stream is.
At least you have a intro. I don't even have an intro. I just literally like, hello. And half the times that doesn't work. My voice cracks, so it sounds more like, oh.
Yeah, but some people like that just natural, like, hello, how are you? And some people like the polished version, and I'm not calling myself polished because I get the intro wrong every time. But you know, I like to have that little bit of a like a welcome along thing, and I'm presenting now, and it's kind of a switch on for me.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess like with it as well is like, because you've had the background in like radio and DJing, you kind of like I guess that's what you done originally, you know, like with your whole like introduction and coming on. So it's like that's played a part maybe inside of then like streaming.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're presenting yourself. You're building this show, even if you don't know what's going to happen in the show. You kind of being the presenter of something going on. So to have that welcome and that familiarity of right, this is how we're going to start. After that, who knows what's going to happen, and just see where the stream takes you.
Yeah.
I mean, like when was it? Thursday. I was doing my intro. My mum calls me, so I was like, right, that's it. You're paying for this. Get on the stream. and for like 10 minutes, I had my mum on video call.
I wondered who that was.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So, so she called and was like, oh, I'm just catching up. I was like, well, I'm live now, so you're gonna say hello to everybody else.
That's sweet. Like that's really cool though, because I wondered who that was. I was like, at first I was like, Crunchy's talking to someone, and then I was like, well, I don't know who it is, but Crunchy's talking to someone. But then it's like nice to then have that kind of like interaction with like say your family on stream as well as being stream, and it's nice that people like accept it. Because I know there's I'm not that brave enough to do that yet. Like, if I have a family call, I either like go BRB or I don't answer it and then I'll message them.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people want to have the actual disconnect between the streaming life and the real life because they want to have that privacy. The only reason I know that I can do that with my mum is because I know she's pops in the chat on a regular occasion, and she's introduced herself as like my mum. And B, she's happy to have a natter to anybody as much as she can. So I know that 9 times out of 10 she wouldn't bother if she was on the actual stream. And to the point where a few weeks back, our normal D&D session got cancelled, so I started playing a game. She popped into the chat, and I just said, right, as you're here, do you want to come on and say hello and do a quick Q&A? And she popped on, and she was on for like an hour and a half.
Oh,
just
Mama Crunchy.
talking about, Mama Crunchy, just talking old stories and embarrassing me, quite frankly.
As mum should do.
As they should do, absolutely.
That is literally what they do. They're like, oh, baby pictures. As soon as you come around like someone's house, it's baby pictures everywhere.
I even just said the words, oh, I know she likes to talk, and I just saw in the side of my eyes go just nod venomously or vigorously, I should say.
Just vigorous nodding, just
vigorous nodding.
Yep. What was, if you can remember, what was the first game which you ever streamed?
That was a very good one. I think I was probably streaming. Because I've only just, I've settled into this routine since more or less the start of the year. I think the first game I properly started stream was maybe Call of Duty.
Ooh. Wait, is that like Warzone or?
No, before, this is pre-Warzone. So it's probably Black Ops.
Ooh.
That or Overwatch, one of the two.
Because I know that a lot of people started out on Call of Duty. If it was Call of Duty, because I know I started out playing Call of Duty. I mean, like my first ever game, which I'd done for like half an hour, was Dark Souls 3. Yeah. And then I switched it to Call of Duty, and I was like a Call of Duty streamer for 5 months.
I think it's the case where with Call of Duty, because there's a lot of action going on, there's less of an overriding sense of having to talk and converse with people, because there's some action on the screen anyway. They're probably being engaging with that, but you still have the opportunity to talk to people while they're in the chat if they do pop up. So you're kind of building that audience originally, and then the more they get to know you, the less it's about the game.
Yeah, and then the more it's about the actual person itself.
Indeed.
Yeah, because
and then you can take that base audience to other games. If you're losing interest in Call of Duty, you could say, oh, we'll try some Overwatch, or let's try some Fortnite, see if I enjoy that, or let's start doing story games, or let's start mixing things up a bit, see how we go.
A lot of people maybe like have played Call of Duty for a long time, so it's something that they're comfy with. So you want to start with something that like you feel confident and comfy like playing for your first stream.
Yeah, exactly. You want to, because you don't know if the technology is going to work. You don't know if people are going to show up. So yeah, you want to like be comfortable so that you know what type of routine you're going to get into, and then you can start branching out. So yeah, it's completely understandable that you want to start with something you're safe in, knowing that you're adept at it, and then moving forward as you go along and evolving the stream so that your audience can evolve with you.
I know that for me, starting out, it was a thing of like, I think I done Call of Duty quite a lot, and then some Rainbow Six Siege quite a lot, because like Crunchy said, like I knew those games, so I didn't have to concentrate like myself on me. And I don't know what it was. It was a thing of like, it made me less anxious, but also anxious at the same time. It was like a weird, like, I'm not anxious about the game because I know the game, but I'm anxious about if people would come in to see. But then I also know that it's like a oversaturated kind of game itself.
Yeah.
Because it feels like that's where a lot of people go wrong, like say, when they first start out with, they play the most oversaturated games possible.
And it's not the case of they choose to do that because they know it's the most popular game. They choose to do that because it's something they know that they can play. So they don't know if someone's going to come in to watch their skill in the game, or they're going to come to discover a new streamer. So you kind of have to put yourself out there either way.
Which can be daunting.
Oh, considerably daunting. Oh, absolutely daunting. And I've done that when I used to do my own podcast, and I've done that when me and Scotty used to have a YouTube channel together. It is daunting just putting yourself out there and talking absolute nonsense while playing a game to try and make sure that someone's engaging with what you do.
Would you say that the first like 6 weeks is the hardest?
Yeah, probably, and maybe beyond that for trying to keep people watching rather than just like having the follower and walking away.
Yeah, I mean, like, and plus, like, say if you're playing one game solely for 6 weeks, or like say 6 months, and then you try switch up your games, that can be daunting, and that can also, like, because some people want to come to watch you play this game, but then if you decide to play this game instead of the other game which you originally was playing, they might be like, oh, I want to watch that game.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't judge what type of games people are going to play. And as much as you want to take everybody's advice and play this game or this game or this game, you just physically cannot. And you still got to enjoy the game yourself so that your enjoyment radiates through the screen to what people are seeing.
100%.
It has to translate to what people are watching.
Also,
Very true.
Yeah, it's like hard to not get burnt out as well of one thing. Like, I think that's why I like being variety.
Indeed. And that's why I like having a routine every week where I'm not playing the same game to completion 4 days in a row. Because I know that if I'm enjoying a game, I'm not burning through it in like a couple of weeks and then having to work out what I'm going to play next. If I'm enjoying a game and I know it's a long form game, then I at least know that's going to be a good 6-7 streams, maybe 8 streams of content. So that's a month. Couple that with my usual road company stuff where it's just like have a few games, job done, happy days. And then the Friday stuff, happy days. People come to enjoy the banter between us. There's something a little different for everybody. And that not only does that help me as a content creator for panning out the amount of content I can make, it also helps for the people who like specific content because they know they can come here and that's when I'm going to do this, and just makes it easier for people.
I think UT switched games at the right time because you, like you said, you started playing like Call of Duty and was it Siege?
Yeah.
Like for the first 6 months of you streaming, but I think you switched at like the perfect time because you started to get kind of like some popularity based on the games that you were playing, and like you definitely still have people come in from those days when you were playing those games who like are kind of thrown off by you playing other games, but you were able to switch soon enough that like you didn't have to start all over just because you went from like playing shooting games to completely different types of games and different games all the time.
Yeah, like different stories or different genres of like game.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you don't really know what your style of streaming is going to be until at least a good 2 months in, because then once you've got your feet, you know what type of presentation you can make and then build off of that. So to change the game in that particular time frame is probably just about right, so that you can actually build upon who you are rather than what the game is.
Yeah, rather than just like having a name as you're this type of streamer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like typecasting for like actors.
Indeed.
Then it's like
you're going to get your character actors to do the same thing. You're going to get your Jason Statham's who are known for one particular style. We may consider ourselves as the character streamers where we will do anything.
Yeah, so we're like a bit of all sorts.
Yeah.
Variety actor.
Indeed.
That sounds weird to say.
So you had said that you like obviously streaming is a release for you and you hope that it's a release for your community. What is there anything else that you want to come from streaming, maybe for yourself?
Probably the two main things that I do want to make sure is that I'm helping other people with what they're doing in the way of like promoting them as best as I can. And giving them advice where I can do it, and just being an open ear for them. And then the other thing is trying to make a difference either just through being a normal person or like doing charity streams and just trying to leave the place a little bit better than I found it.
So trying to spread like a little bit of positivity where you can and when you can.
Yeah, because I know that I'm not able to, and I'm not in the position where I'm able to promote myself 24 hours a day and make content 24 hours a day because, I've worked 5 days a week. I am married, so I want to make sure I have time with my wife, and then have the weekends where I do the streams and do as much content as possible. But even then, I know I'm not always in the headspace to want to do that. So at least people know that I'm approachable either way. It's not going to matter what the time of day is. And even if I can't do everything every day, if I can build up to doing something big for making a difference, then I will absolutely try and do that to the best of my ability.
That's a really good way to go about streaming, because so many people come into it just to get big quick or, make money, be the next ninja or whoever. But that will pretty much always fail. So having more like wholesome and genuine goals is like a way better way to go about streaming.
Oh no, I'm very realistic in what I do. I'm fully under no impression that I'm going to be like followed for my looks. I'm fully aware I'm not going to be followed for my gaming style or my quality of gaming. I try to be there and get the people watching just for a laugh or two and just to relax. And I know that's not going to get a lot of viewers. I know it's not going to get me into the upper echelons of Twitch where I'm going to be a partner or anything like that. But as long as I am enjoying it, I don't care.
I mean, you say that, but wholesome and cozy is becoming the new Ninja and Shroud. Like, honestly, like I've seen way more now like wholesome and like cozy streams and more chill streams now on Twitch, rather than it's like how the meta is changing in a kind of like aspect.
This is true, and I won't deny that. But for me, if whatever happens, I will believe it when I see it person. So, if things do happen in that direction, then I'm all for it, and I will do what I can. But I am content with my own little world of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, you also have like because I was gonna say before Viv asked that question is you have like a working like how you do your life is really interesting because you have like say you have a real life job and then you have a marriage as well, and I guess you've got like other outside commitments through streaming. So how you find all that time is incredible.
I just make sure that I'm not stupid with it. If I know that there's things that are going to be a bit too much, then I will step back. And if I have to take a day off stream for doing on-call stuff with work, then I will be honest about it. And the only reason I don't talk about my work is because of the nature of the work. I think it would be inappropriate for me to talk about it unless people ask the questions. But I don't want to have that kind of association where, oh, he does this, I'll follow him for that. No, I want you to follow me for the fact that I entertain you.
Yeah.
Not for outside reasons. That or bingo, one of the two, either way.
I mean, bingo wins everyone's heart.
Oh yeah, he is a very special, cute boy when he's not destroying places.
Yeah, or when he's not breaking it into the treats.
They're very, very true.
Little treat breaker.
You have a really good boundaries and like a good work-life balance, work-life pleasure, whatever else balance.
Yeah, because you have to be realistic about that. You have to set the right boundaries. Otherwise, if you try and push yourself too much on something, then the quality of what you do is going to dip, or your personal, physical, mental health will dip. So you have to be realistic and set those honest boundaries for yourself.
Definitely, like 100%. You do need to set boundaries, and you need to make sure that you give yourself, because I know it's easy to get caught up inside the streaming world. It's so easy to get caught up on the online world and forget about the real world or other outside like stuff apart from streaming. Because I know that I myself, I've been caught up in the past. I got caught up majorly where I thought it was only about streaming. Everything had to be about streaming, to a point of where, like, when I was in hospital, I was still making sure that I was inside people's streams. I was like, okay, I need to stop. This is too much. This isn't healthy.
No, exactly. You've got to have those days where you're just stepping back and it's like, I'm not even looking at Twitch. I'm not even looking at Discord. I'm having the time to myself. It is really important, more than you understand.
So
You've
that would,
definitely gotten better, T, at taking breaks for yourself and setting boundaries, because you used to just be pretty much on call for anyone at all times, and it was really burning you out. And now you're like, hey, like if you really need something, I'm here, but like this is my day off.
yeah, this is my day where this is T's day for tea. Which then that would bring us to the final question is, I mean, you've pretty much just nailed it and answered it immediately. But what advice could you give to a new streamer?
Don't try and be someone you're not, because people can point out the fart in the lift. Let's put it like that. They can send this to the lie. Be yourself, because that's what people will stay for. And more importantly, just don't over push yourself. Don't try and overspend on equipment that you don't really need to begin with. Don't try and force yourself to be anybody you're not. Make sure you put yourself with an appropriate schedule for you. Be realistic with what you can do, but don't stop trying to push yourself forward as much as in stages.
Yeah,
There's no harm in building on what you can do and putting yourself out there for everything, but be realistic with what you can and can't do initially. And then when you get to the point where you do have the option of being able to do more or being able to invest in what you can do, then go for it.
you see, I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, because they think that if they buy all the expensive gadgets in the whole world, that's it, they've made it. People are just going to come immediately. There's a lot more like mental work and physical work which goes into it. I mean, I still have the same mouse which I've started with.
Yeah.
And it was a £5 mouse. And it's serving me perfect.
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't need like the top quality gear. I've only finished paying for my microphone like August, because I paid for it like in 12 monthly installments. So, it's being realistic about what you can afford and what you can do. Again, this PC I bought, but I bought it in monthly installments, and I haven't changed anything on it. So it's still doing me good in the 2 years I've had it.
Yeah, because I've never had like someone come into stream and that they'd be like, hey, I came here because of your equipment.
No, exactly. They'll ask about equipment, but it's not the be all and end all of you. Your equipment doesn't represent you. How you conduct yourself represents you.
Yeah, like who you are as a person and how you like interact with people. Say because if you're not interacting with your chat, then obviously people don't really want to hang around because you're not talking to them.
Exactly.
But then on the other end, you don't want to like form some toxic chat inside your chat by you being toxic to say people inside your game or like people inside the chat. So it's kind of like a whole thing of like there's streaming is a massive world of just balancing. It's like you're also like when people say kind of like as a example of like where there's that man or that woman who spins like loads of plates. You've got to like keep all those plates going.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what it's like. And then say if you are burning out and you're spinning your plate too much and it falls, then all those other plates are going to start crashing down, and people will see that.
Mhm.
There is a good life lesson that you can use for streaming and for real life, and it's treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
If you're going to treat other people, if you want respect, you've got to treat people with respect. And most importantly, you've got to treat yourself with respect.
Definitely. And set boundaries as well. Like early you set boundaries with people, the best off it will be in the long run, because then those people won't because then they know your boundaries before they try push and set boundaries.
There's no expectation then, because they know exactly where you stand.
Yeah, 100%, instead of them trying to force or push something into you which you don't want.
Precisely.
In streaming, that phrase goes so far because you're trying to build a community, and communities become how the streamer is. So like if you're someone who just like rages at games, like gets mad at people, like cussing people out all the time, whatever, you're going to create that kind of community, which most people don't want. So then you can't turn around and be like, oh, why are you all like this? Or banning people, deleting comments all the time, whatever, because now the people in your community, in your chat, kind of have that same toxic behavior that like you put out. So it's like you're creating, like you reap what you sow, I guess. Like you're however you are to people, those are the types of people that like you're going to draw in, and they will then be that way to you.
Yeah, if you want to put yourself out there, you want to get yourself known. Your community is your banner, and if your banner is stained, then you're gonna have a harder time.
Definitely. As to end it with, would you like to say a little bit more about yourself before we get on to some horror-y questions?
You can find me pretty much everywhere at Crunchy Streams. So it's Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for Crunchy Streams and you should be able to find me. I'll be that big guy looking right with the earpiece in his head.
And we will make sure that all of your information is linked down below as well, because everyone can then click and find you.
I won't be hard to find. I'm a big boy.
Just full of love and cuddles.
Indeed.
So I have a little trivia. Do you know what the first ever horror game was?
Ooh.
What was it?
I'm asking you first. I want you to try have a little guess. I didn't know. I googled it, so I cheated.
It's not something silly like the Munsters or anything like that, is it?
No, well, depends on where you look. All right, there's two separate answers. Apparently, the first ever scary game was Sega's Killer Sharks. That was roughly in 1972. But then, if you then, however, consider it as a true like survival horror kind of game, you would say that in 1989, the release of Sweet Home on Nintendo was actually the first ever horror game. So it depends on how you look at it, like scary game or horror game. That's how it goes. Of like, we don't know whether it was the Sega Killer Sharks or Sweet Home. It also surprised me that Nintendo had a horror game.
That's so weird.
Because it's Nintendo. I think of Nintendo, I think, oh yeah, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, not, hey, horror.
That's the thing. Nintendo have obviously Mario as their mascot and their poster boy, but Nintendo have been very good with putting really out there games out there. There was one they had on the Wii, which was like a black and white gore fest type of game. It wasn't a horror game, it was just like one of those survival gore fest games, and it was very bloody, and it wasn't anything that you would put with Nintendo.
What?
So
Nintendo,
they do
why?
They do have that little bit of a reputation for putting really out there games out in the world.
That's weird. I've never seen it. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google it as well. But just remember, No More Heroes was first out on the Wii, so they do put out really weird games.
I guess it shows that they can like do a lot more than people think they can. Like they're more well-rounded than we assume, I guess.
They're now coming semi back into like the thing of releasing different kind of games onto their system, because the Nintendo Switch is getting a lot of like, say, games which come out on Xbox and PlayStation now onto their like systems, and that can be like, and some of them are considered semi-horror. I don't know how well they're going to run, although House of the Dead is coming out on the Switch now. Do you know that there's 5 subgenres of horror? You have survival horror, which obviously your kind of games like Parasite Eve, Resident Evil series can be stuck under that one, but then there's also action horror, which has Resident Evil again. House of the Dead series is included in that with Dead Space. Psychological horror, which obviously is Doki Doki Literature Club and Silent Hill. Jump scare horror, Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't like that game. And then a horror genre which I didn't think would be like real, but reverse horror, which is kind of like, it involves the players in like scaring each other. So Dead by Daylight, that is a reverse horror genre.
because you're kind of putting your own scares into other people. So yeah, I can kind of see that. So that's probably a bit more of a recent style.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Because the list of games which are on reverse horror is more Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th.
So your
Which is-
PvP
That's
styles.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm guessing Resident Evil can fit into that genre as well with their. I can't remember the name of the game, but it didn't really do so well. It kind of flopped. It was like where it was 4v1, and the person who was like the one had control of like zombies and other kind of like horror stuff from Resident Evil.
Oh, was that Resident Evil Resistance or something like that?
Yes, you 100%. Because I know that.
I may have played that.
Is it any good?
It's exactly what you expect it to be.
Oh.
Exactly. That's pretty much the right reaction to that.
Is it like pumpkin pie in a can? Where you
Yeah, it's just a full taste of disappointment.
Oh, that's not good considering that Resident Evil was like one of my semi-favorite horror games. I don't know, like I feel as if Dead Space is now top of the list, I think, for me of horror games.
Dead Space is a very good series. It's one of those ones that just is very tense because they keep the visibility minimal, and then you just don't know when those morphers are going to come out from wherever, and then it's just like a quick battle to survive.
Yeah, or it's just a battle, just run and panic.
Which is also a good option in games.
Plus, you don't know whether you don't know if it's going to be a actual dead thing or if it's going to be a dead thing which is going to come back to life and try kill you.
No, exactly. It's that tension that just holds you in the moment.
Do you each have a favorite, I guess, horror genre?
Ooh. We'll let Crunchy answer first.
I kind of enjoy the tension horrors. You know the ones that you kind of going through. You don't know what's going to happen, but you always feel like there's something like hanging over you and ready to just strike.
Yeah, or
So
like
that's
something
that
watching
type of
you.
game. Yeah, absolutely. It's like I played Alien Isolation last year on the hardest difficulty, and just trying to move about that ship on that difficulty is very tense and very unnerving. And yeah, I think I had a few jump scares on that.
That game's interesting though, because with that one, the AI learns as you play.
And I think that kind of adds to the tension because you're fully aware that it's an adaptive AI. It will do things that you don't expect.
Yeah, like so say because I played that as well, but when I threw like say flashbangs or stuff to distract it, it stopped going over to those things because it learned that wasn't me.
Yeah.
And you couldn't hide in the same place twice.
Yeah, otherwise it would find you. It's more like I don't know, it's scary and it's like the tension and like your heartbeat is going, but at the same time it's exciting.
It's unnerving, and that's what makes a good horror game.
Also, like
It
if it has like a twist.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, the one thing, I don't know if it would be considered horror as such, but there was a game similar to that called Bending the Ink Machine. I played that and I really enjoyed that, and I actually got jump scared a fair few times on it as well.
Ooh, that could be considered horror. I think it would fall into like a horror category. But then
Almost
depends.
kind of like a
Gives
body
you-
morph horror.
Yeah, but then
If
like
it gives you jump scares, probably.
yeah,
Yeah,
or depends
definitely.
on what kind of like because obviously like I don't know because do you count Limbo as being horror? Because it's kind of like that game you can be a little bit on edge depending on what part you are of the game.
I think that could be considered psychological horror because it's all just silhouettes of everything going on, and with the first level with the big spider, it's kind of playing off of your phobias. So, yeah, I could probably consider that horror.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, because then there's the water horizon level, which that could people were scared of water.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's designed to unsettle you with the very little in story. You're kind of having to discover what's going on yourself and survive at the same time. So that sense of unknowing of what's going on adds to the tension in the game.
Yeah, so like with Little Nightmares and Inside, like we don't really know fully what's happening, but we're there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially the point where in Little Nightmares, the point where Six actually starts eating someone, and then you realize, actually, no, this is a lot worse than you expect.
Oh yeah. Oh.
That part gets me every time.
That's unnerving, like, especially because you eat a bit of meat, and then you eat a rat, and then she's like, you know what, I'm gonna start nomming on like this little child.
That's a severe escalation of the situation.
I think for me, I like survival horror games, like anything where, if it's say like Resident Evil, Dead Space, Alien Isolation, I would consider to be like survival horror. I think like ones are where it's you pitted against like multiple things, or one thing in particular just chasing you around, like say the whole of the game until the finale.
Yeah, it's just like 1v1, but they don't attack constantly. They just pick their spots.
Yeah, or like say, because Resident Evil 2, Mr. X was a massive like unnerving presence, because if you was low on ammo, or you didn't really know where you're going, and you was trying to get to one point, he would then just turn and walk through some door, and you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna have to run around now and just go out.
Yeah, and I think that they've improved on that considerably with 7 and 8, where you have either the family members in 7 or Lady Dimitrescu in 8 just following you like its own, like your own shadow almost.
Yeah, and I think of which makes it like more intense is those ones are first person, especially on if you can get it where, because you can get it where, so as Jack in 7 will smash through the wall to get you.
Yeah.
That scared me. The first time that ever happened, I was like, ah!
Never play Resi 7 in VR. It's seriously unnerving.
Have you done it?
I may have.
How?
I may do it for stream.
Crunchy, you are some next level. That's nah. That'd be nuts.
Look, you've hung out in my streams. You know I'm a madman.
Yeah, but that's like next level, just like, whoa. I think you should do that for Halloween.
Maybe. There may have to be an option.
VR Crunchy. But I don't know.
The upgrade.
it was just like, that was just like to me, like next level of like horror, or where, because normally he would walk through the doors and you could like kind of confuse him inside the kitchen by entering one door and he goes through the other door, but then have him just smash through the wall. It was just like, whoa, stop, please. I think with...
It's kind of like they knew you were kiting him around the room. It's like, no, we'll stop this right now. Boom,
yeah.
Through the wall.
Although with number 8, I felt like she was more annoying than horror, because she would kind of like always appear inside doors to which you needed to get to the statues to put the little like faces on.
Yeah.
So then
the
you had to... Yeah, so then you had to kind of like run around... I just felt it like a bit long, where you had to then run around the whole like of her house to get to that one point.
Very true. I actually, in fairness, even with that, she's not even the creepiest thing in that game.
No.
Basement of the Dollhouse.
That's yes. Oh god, that is definitely the creepiest part of the game. But also to me, the most exciting and fun part of it is being inside the dollhouse.
Yeah, that's probably the highlight of that game. Even though it's short, it's so unsettling seeing what you can see in the dark and then having to run from it is very fun and crazy at the same time.
Like, first time I saw it, I didn't know what to do, so it killed me immediately. I was like, what am I doing? Then it's also like that. I would say that is kind of a adaptation of Resident Evil 7, the Happy Birthday video and the birthday moment. Because I think inside Resident Evil 7, yes, that's not considered like the most scariest part, but that is one of the most scariest parts, because you have a timer constantly ticking. You've got him talking to you, and you have to do these certain steps. And even if you do the steps all correctly, you can still die if you don't understand that you have to do an extra step to stop. To stop yourself from dying. So like to me, that is like that can be one of the most intense and scary parts of Resident Evil.
Yeah, it's kind of like they brought something from the Saw franchise and made it as part of the game.
Yeah, but then it's also no, go on.
I was going to say, even though Saw had their own games, which were not great.
No, oh god, no.
But yeah, to kind of emulate that style of horror film and put it in a game fairly well, actually, is fairly good achievement to have.
I think it was like how they even put in the videotape. So if you didn't watch the videotape, then you wouldn't know how to do that section of the game. So it's like they was like preparing you, but then they made it different inside when Ethan done it. But it was like really nicely done, of like kind of like a like a thumbs up to Saw of like, hey, look, we've added this.
Let's show you how it's done.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's all the like aspect of found footage, because you find a lot of videotapes inside number 7. I'm surprised that they didn't really do that for number 8, because that would have been a lot of fun to find videotapes to sort of like see these people before you face these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I liked that about number 7, where where they done the DLCs of banned footage, like Volume 1 and 2, and you found videotapes throughout the game, and then you played as like those characters inside the videotapes itself. I feel as if like found footage is something which is not done most in horror games, and it should come into like horror games, because that can be sometimes the most scariest part. Blair Witch done it inside their game, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and then you got stuff like Outlast 1 and 2 that was primarily that style.
Yeah, but like I think like with Blair Witch, like the only bad thing about Blair Witch is you had those really like horrible moments in it, and like of jump scares and like the tension and you like not knowing what you're doing, but also you had just those boring sections where you was just walking around the forest for new stuff to spawn into the forest.
Yeah.
And that kind of took the edge off of it. It wasn't just a constant do 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 do. It was just like a da da da. I don't know, just for me, it took the edge off like myself, and I found myself for 3 hours wandering around doing nothing.
Yeah, and that's the point. You have to, if you're making a horror game, you have to keep the player engaged.
Yeah, and you like, because Slender done that really well. That's going back now, talking about Slender.
Yeah, really well.
But Slender done that perfectly, where they would keep, like, every time you found a note, the music would get more intense. Slenderman himself would get more intense, like coming after you, and like your breathing, your flashlight would start like dimming or like flickering. I actually played Slender at 1 a.m. down my local forest when I was a teenager.
Oh, you played it in your local forest?
Yeah, at 1 a.m. because I got dared to do it. So I went down there with my dog.
Like
I went down there I took protection. I took my dog. I went down there with my dog. I was like, "Hey, Mum, I'm gonna go out at 1 a.m. to go play Slender inside the forest." And it's just like, "Why?"
You're insane.
Yeah, it was like so it was like found footage because I recorded myself doing it and recorded the game. But it was like when technology wasn't as good then, so it was kind of like I recorded myself as one video and recorded the game as a separate video.
That footage of you though would be terrifying. Like, what is it on, like a little like flip phone or something, or like an old smartphone?
It was on my old laptop.
Okay, yeah, that's terrifying. That's literally
using
horror
a torch,
movies
using literally
like
a big flashlight as my light.
That footage would be like a horror in its own.
Please tell me that footage still exists.
It's somewhere.
You need to find that.
Because it was just like, there's like, I remember that there's a part of it where I got bit by a mosquito like on my face. It's like, because I got bit, and it like scared me having it land on my face. But it was just insane. Like, I don't know, like, but then that to me, that's horror.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be prepared for a podcast extra, Tea and Toasty playing Slender in the woods.
But do you know what I mean? Like, that was like that's horror. Like, if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah, do it properly or not at all.
It's like Until Dawn. I haven't played that game yet. I'm excited to play that game, but I cannot wait to play that game because I know that has had so many reviews and so many raves about how decent they do it. Because it has like a bit of everything inside it.
Yeah. And then that's more of a movie style game rather than your actual interactive style of game. Whereas it's more button prompts than actually getting involved and looking for things. There is still aspects of that, but it's considerably less than what you would consider as survival horror or action horror.
Yeah, it's like the Dark Picture anthology like games. Like I love those games because it's like you're doing it, but it's more like a film.
Mm.
There's a game I can't remember what it's called, but it's a game where it's literally a film and you just make walking choices and then you watch the game like play out. But it's clever how it's done.
Oh, I remember that.
Like Life is thingy.
It's like Life is Strange, but it's like more of like they're real life people and it is like a film, but you just get to choose what they say, like different like characters.
There's a few of those actually.
Finished it, but it was really interesting.
Yeah. It was a fun game.
Was it Night Shift?
Oh, it might have been Night Shift.
No. It was around the time when you were doing like Control. I don't know if it was made by the same people.
Oh, I don't know, but I think I might have played Night Shift as well on Xbox for achievements because it was on Game Pass. Then I know I mean Control
Late Shift, that's what it's called.
Yes, Late Shift. I know that Control has like some aspects of horror. Although where would you put Alan Wake and Control inside like horror categories?
I would say Alan Wake's more psychological. Control, I don't know if I put it as more horror or sci-fi. I wouldn't put it as horror so much.
What's like action sci-fi?
Yeah.
I know that it has some jump scares with when you're doing the light 3 times. That can be a bit daunting or a bit like, or inside the hotel.
The hotel, that's one of the best sequences in recent gaming.
There's a game where there's what is it? Where there's Bioshock. Bioshock can be considered horror, but there's certain aspects of it where it can be like, because that can be survival horror or action horror, depending on how you look at it or what kind of like part of the game you're in. But then there's also can be some psychological horror, especially in number 3, where the screen's like real, like where the screen is dark or it's black, and then you just hear like knocking, and then like them saying like, "Do it, you have to, return the girl," because that's when he's losing his mind a bit.
So here's a question for you guys then. What would you consider necessary mechanics in a good horror game?
Ooh, you want to go first, Viv?
No, I have no idea. I don't do horror, so I.
That's not true. You played Man of Medan.
Yeah, and I was terrified.
Like, everyone may have died, but you still played it.
I guess for me, so like I think games like Man of Medan for me did it well because with the jump scares, it was like your brain, you're doing something, you're like sticking your hand in like the hole or whatever, like in National Treasure. And it's like you're expecting the jump scare. I think they did it well where it's like they didn't give it to you then, but as soon as you've like calmed down, you're like, oh, okay, there was no jump scare, then they do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of games tend to like try and nail nowadays, is trying to avoid the trope heavy style of jump scare where you're expecting it and just hitting you from left field.
See, Man of Medan does it really well, like Viv said, but also to jump on like more of what she's saying about it, like inside there's a bit of where you look inside a locker and you're like, okay, there's gonna be a jump scare because the game is now zoomed in on this locker, your hand is appearing to open up the locker, and then you open up the locker, nothing's there, and then the guy like sort of like turns around and then looks back at it and boom, human face. Like it's the timing has to be perfect. Like, because it's like with horror films, or where you expect something, or it's too like predictable. I think some games need like to throw it like out and not be predictable. That's the thing for me with horror, is it can't be predictable. If I can predict it happening, then it doesn't scare me.
Yeah, if you can see it coming from a mile off, it takes away the impact.
Yeah, but like, see, I don't think of that Freddy, like Five Nights at Freddy's for me. I don't think that game like is scary, because it all relies on the things coming towards the door and then just jumping out at you, and you know it's going to happen because they're close to you.
Yeah, and you're too busy trying to like focus on things to stop that from happening. So it just, again, you're focusing on too many things to absorb yourself in the jump scare.
Yeah, whereas but I think like and then there's other games where they rely too much on gore or too much like gruesome detail.
Gosh. Visage.
Yeah, see, Visage, everyone says it's one of the most scariest games going. Visage for me, I don't know if you played it, Crunchy.
I was intending to play it.
Well,
but
see,
go for it. Tell me about it.
Well, see, like, without ruining it or nothing, because I don't want to be one of those types of people who ruins it. But just personally for me, I was not scared, and it was more puzzling than scary, and it was more like kind of like, okay, but what do I do? Because there's nowhere to actually go. That's just
still try it, because then you can tell us like what you think of it. But it's definitely one of those ones where it's like it kind of relies on the gore to scare you. Like, that's really the horror of it. And I think I was so confused the whole time. I think, like, I don't like horror or scary things. I'm easily scared, but I feel like with that, it was like it's very puzzly, and I was more confused to be scared. Like, I was too confused, not understanding what was going on to like even be scared of anything.
See, with horror games which implement puzzles, I had a closed beta for this new horror game, which I think it's out now, but it started with you locked inside a room because you're a police person and a load of people have just been murdered and there's a homicide going on and the killer's coming for you, and it starts you like locked inside this police room. And to get the key to unlock the drawer, to get the key to then unlock the front door, or like the office door, you had to solve a puzzle. But the puzzle was you had to take clues from around the room and turn letters into numbers, with no help whatsoever.
So it was more of an escape room than a horror.
Yeah, but it was like, but how they like done it, because I done it on stream and they was like watching and stuff, and like how they done it was like you had to take like the start of the different months of the year found around the room and then convert them into numbers. So you had to know about that to how to do that. It wasn't like and there was no help, like there was no hints or no help. Like the only help which you had was your person just reminding you, oh, we gotta figure out so and so's birth date. But then like
it kind of has to, it has that expectation that you already know certain bits that you need to do before you actually know what you need to do.
Yeah, it was a I mean, they called it a basic maths equation, but it really wasn't basic because it was like, it was almost like algebra, like with like find x or the value of y, but without anything really around the room to help you solve that puzzle.
Yeah.
And I know that it frustrated me, and it frustrated a lot of people who was watching me do it, because I was excited for it, like it was something which I promoted for like a good week before I actually done it. And it was really, it wasn't like, I don't know, it just like, if you're going to have a puzzly horror game, make sure that your first puzzle is actually solvable. For everyone as well. Make sure it's, it's so as everyone can do it.
Yeah, make sure there's not that extreme learning curve at the beginning, and then you're going to be too frustrated to go through the rest of the game.
Yeah, because
no,
go on.
I was just going to say, there has to be a good balance with horror games between being too hard that you just like can't even complete what you're trying to do, and then being too predictable that it's like, either way, both of those things make it not scary, not as a horror should be.
Yeah, I mean, like, we didn't even get into the horror of that game because we couldn't open up the door.
Oh, that
So I
says it
couldn't-
all, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I couldn't actually scare myself because I couldn't actually get into the game because the first part of the game was, can you open up this door? No.
Thank you
No.
for playing.
Yeah, thank you for playing.
Going back real quick, that game with the like movie type cutscenes in it, it was Quantum Break.
Oh, Quantum Break.
Oh, I wouldn't consider that a horror.
No,
But yeah,
that-
no, I've played that one. That's more psychological action thriller type thing.
Yeah, not horror. That was the one that had like when we were talking about like
the movie scene.
what is it? Life is
Movies.
Strange and stuff that has like
Yeah.
movie type cutscenes where you're just like choosing just the dialogue.
Yeah, because that was done by design because they were hoping to have it like coalesce between half game, half TV series, and then they just put it all in one thing. And the fact that the cutscenes between each level were so long, it took you out of the game too much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. I think we watched half an hour of a cutscene.
Yeah, but basically every cutscene was its own TV show, so they were pretty much half hour each.
Then we just,
Mhm.
but then like you could forget about what your character was doing in that time because you're watching like a film.
Yeah,
Also, with it being, I think it's Remedy, it definitely had some bugs. T messed with some kind of chair and broke the game and had to
Oh,
restart.
yeah. I just quickly on that because I moved this chair in the game, it then made the character who he was following, he stopped walking and stopped talking and just stood still, completely still, and done nothing. It's like
He
that
wouldn't
I
go in the
annoyed him.
elevator.
Yeah, it's like that I annoyed him.
just stood there silently judging you.
He's like, for God's sake. Then again, I done that on Control. I think I done that on Alan Wake as well.
You've done it on so many games.
Just don't let me go near chairs.
Why do you
Remedy
like
does
breaking
not-
things, T?
I don't know. I just like chairs. I like seeing chairs.
Remedy doesn't like you to touch any of the like environmental things. You have to just follow the path and not touch anything.
I know there's a game which kind of like it's horror, but well, it's called 7 Days to Die. Have you played that, Crunchy?
Yes, I have.
See, now that game, I would say it's survival horror, but it's more tailored of you make your story as you go. Kind of like thing, you know, because you could do like anything, and then you know, if you have friends, you could start up a whole community, or you could be a builder, or you can just be someone who just lives like from like say house to house, or like from just out of your backpack. I feel as if that game, they tried putting a little bit of a story in it, but it doesn't really work out as a story.
Yeah, it's more of survival crafting style of things, but there is a lore underneath it that if you really wanted to, you could discover it. But because of the way 7 Days to Die is set up, you're too busy trying to focus on survival to worry about the lore.
Yeah, especially with every 7 nights, like the longer you survive, the more zombies turn up and show up.
Yeah.
Also, I feel for
It's-
that game, it's a game where you need to like make the settings. You need to tweak the settings a little bit because when I first played it and it got nighttime and having the zombies full sprint at me, no. I want Walking Dead zombies, not 28 weeks later zombies. Thanks.
The Forest, is that horror or just survival?
That's survival horror. I'd say The Forest. That's one of the most freakiest games I've played. Just in the aspect of it's weird and freaky, but also kind of freaky where it doesn't make a lot of sense at the end.
A lot of it didn't make sense.
Have you played it, Crunchy? The
I-
Forest.
I have not played The Forest. I do want to try that one once.
You need to play it. All right, we won't speak anymore, just in case.
You can play it together, right? Because you did it with Axios, so you and
Yeah.
Benji could play
Yes.
It's
it.
multiplayer.
Oh, we could get a 4-team
Oh.
and do The Forest again. They are
Ooh.
making a
The Back
second
for
one.
Blood Squad is back.
The Back for Blood Squad. See, that's a nice style of horror game. Back for Blood,
Yes.
like Left 4 Dead,
Yes.
Back for Blood, where it's like PvE.
Yeah, that's definitely more the action horror, but that's still very fun.
It's fun, but it's also still very like panicky as well. Where especially if you're I think that game includes a lot of different. There's no jump scares yet of what I I don't know. I mean, technically there is, because it's the people who come out of the wall where they leap at you.
Yeah, yeah. The wall regimes.
Yeah, they are. Oh, they stress me out, especially if it's inside the sewer level where you can't see anything because you only turn your light on when it gets dark.
Yeah.
That's a really nice mechanic where you can't just have your light on. It's you have your light on when we say you have your light on.
You do what we tell you to.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun game, and I hope that they build on it and build a little bit more horror like aspect into it, or where they change a lot of the parts to be nighttime, because that would be a lot more gruesome, I feel.
Have a nighttime DLC campaign.
Yes, the nightlife.
The night death.
What was the first ever horror game you played?
I'm a little bit like Viv, where I tend to try and avoid them realistically. So, more than likely, probably a Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Ooh, I've never played that one.
It's a good one. It's a very good one.
I don't know why I'm like weird with Resident Evil, where I can play 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8 any day of the week. Other ones I don't play so much. I don't know.
You tend to know the mainline ones because they're the more promoted and the more well known. But stuff like Code Veronica, Revelations, Umbrella Team, stuff like that tend to fall under the radar because they're trying something different that tends not to appeal to the mass crowd.
Yeah, it's like number 6. Number 6, I played number 6, but I didn't like number 6 because of how they switched it and moved it around a lot. It's more, I think number 6 is kind of like a third-person Left 4 Dead.
I can kind of see that.
I mean, it's got more story involved and still like Resident Evil, but just the whole thing where you can find weapons and like there's loads of people who can like be there, and you kind of get like special zombies come at you.
Yeah, they lean way too much into the action rather than like keeping the horror aspect of it.
Yeah, I think how they switched Resident Evil with 7 and 8 really saved the genre and really saved the series, and like kind of, because it's like a reboot. I would say number 7 and number 8, yes, it falls through the pattern of the series, but it's almost a reboot because they switched everything about it.
Which they did with 4 after the first 3, because the first 3 were static camera type of games, whereas 4 became over-the-shoulder, third-person survival horror. So then that became 4, 5, 6, and then 7 became first-person psychological type of horror, and it's kind of its own story arc now.
Yeah, and then they'll probably do number 9 like that, and then who knows, probably 10, if they do 10, 11, 12, it might switch again.
Yeah.
We might, or it might go full circle and go back to static cameras. That's probably the most scariest thing of like games, static cameras.
Yeah.
If you can't move, you can't move the camera. Oh no! Like, I'm glad that when they remastered 2 and 3, they let it so you could move the camera yourself, because I don't like static cameras.
No, definitely not.
I don't like being the kind of person who can't see what I'm trying to shoot at and just randomly aiming. Right, that has been a horror/Crunchy interview. Thank you very much, Crunchy. If you want to quickly say one more time, where can we find you and who are you?
First thing, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to be chatting with both of you today. And yeah, twitch.tv/Crunchy Streams, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Crunchy Streams. It's very easy to find me. Or you can just ask T and he'll point you in my direction.
I 100% will. I'd be like, oi, Crunchy, he's here. Get him. Sounds like a threat more than anything. But no, yeah, thank you very much, Crunchy. Thank you for coming on and being our first streamer guest of Webleedpixels.
The pleasure has been all mine. And yes, I can be used as a threat if you need me to be.
Right. Thank you very much for coming, Crunchy. And everyone, thank you very much for listening. You can find us on the Webleedpixels YouTube channel and on Spotify. And there's a Twitter, Webleedpixels, on Twitter as well. This has been T.
And V.
And Crunchy.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.